Create and share with YouTube Shorts on the new Oppo Find.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Rising Light podcast. The podcast that talks content creation, brings you some rising stars from within the content creation space. I'm your host, as per usual, Intrepidus1, aka Trep. A lot of people struggle to say my name. So Trep, T-R-P. And joining me, as always, is my co-host, Mr. Enraged Kitsune, or Kit.
Hi, I'm Kit. Although if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you'll know exactly who I am.
There you go. And this week, again, we have no guest. I've not reached out to anyone, purely just because I want us to personally, myself and Kit, to get back into the swing of doing these every fortnight, which, by the way, just a little bit of a behind the scenes for you. I completely forgot that we'd done one 2 weeks ago. I thought we'd done one a week ago, so we almost missed this one. Hey Dune's in the chat. So yeah, we're not having anyone on this week. If there is anyone that you want to have on any of the Rising Lights announcement or whatever on my Twitter, just at them. If you are in the chat on Twitch right now, I'm putting in my Twitter command so you can see them, because most of the time it's me that posts something, then Kit retweets it, or I retweet it, and you'll find it on my Twitter regardless. So if you're somebody you wanted to see on the podcast, or even if it's somebody we've had on before, let's say, like Kit said, with regards to knowing who he was, you've watched the podcast for a while, and let's say you want to see Civics back on, and you follow Civics on Twitter, I'll just go, at Civics, I want to see you back on, on one of the Rising Light, announcements where we go, look, we're going live, or the video's gone live on YouTube, that kind of thing. And I'm sure we will reach out to them and see if they want to be on. Again, as we discussed last week at the beginning of the episode, not last week, the week before, but you know what I mean, the last episode, if it is somebody who we haven't had on before, then again, great. It doesn't need to be anybody who is a creator themselves. For example, I think the example I used last week, even though he does stream sporadically, was Sneak, who made the clip tool that I use on my channel. He also made a bunch of other things, and he's got more in the works that I've been helping him sort of beta test, if you will. If you want to see him on, let us know. Just put it in a tweet to one of us. There you go. What was that you just said, Kit? Sorry.
I said that was the example you used the week before, and it's probably one of the people who we would ask anyway, even if no one comes in and messages about him.
Yeah, exactly. So, like I said, if it just has to be somebody that is connected to content creation in general. It might even be that sometime in the future we get somebody who we know as a friend who isn't a content creator but is somebody who consumes a lot of content, like, I don't know, Kit's brother.
Yeah, we could get you
So-
a pie or Ronan.
Yeah, so it might even be in future we do that as well, but we haven't. Me and Kit need to put in those parameters of like sort of what we're gonna do. Anyway, moving along. The song that we came into at first was a new-ish song, that one there, called Our Last Goodbye from Part of the Plan. As per usual, if you do exclamation point TOTP in my chat, you will get the link to their Spotify discography. And we had the lead singer from Part of the Plan on, Cody, or Wraithbound, on episode 4 of the podcast from the previous season, last year. And he basically outlined their stance on using their music and that they love hearing what people come up with. And then the second song that we had was one called Shelter, which is a little bit older, as in 2020, a little bit older. Let me pull it up so you can see real quick. As you can see now on screen, we've got Part of the Plan right here. Cody's this one in the middle. And yeah, so with that out of the way, you know, promoting our friend who allows us to use his music, let's get on to the topic. I already said to Kit I'm going to sort of glance over the Apex stuff because I could go down a huge rabbit hole with this, but I could also more easily explain the headlines. So when it says it's ego checked their most competitive players, essentially, as it says, solo is a no-go under the new ranked rules. Solo queuing the new Apex Legends ranked system is a bitch, just to put it in a word. It is annoying. I did do it a bit on stream yesterday for about 2 hours. And I had a couple games where, you know, I was doing really well. I was popping off. I'd say I was popping off. I had like games where I was basically using guns I really didn't use until they got buffed, and doing really well with them, like the Havoc. And I actually clipped some stuff out of that. Like the second to last game is in my clips channel in Discord if you want to have a look. There's 2 clips at the bottom. And but yeah, other than that, like, because of the fact that you can't guarantee that you can communicate with your teammate, especially in the EU where we have a multitude of languages, and not everybody speaks English, and if they do, they very rarely speak it to the point where like it's basic English, if you know what I mean. It's not something you can really get around. So yeah, you basically have to triple stack ranked. One thing I will say is yesterday when I was playing solo, I was mostly on crypto because I finally used my legend shard for the heirloom to get crypto's heirloom. Because I've got enough now saved in Apex Legends coins to buy Valks when it comes later this season. And it was a bitch because, you know, people picking different legends that don't necessarily play well around each other. Crypto, by the way, for anybody who doesn't play Apex, is this guy right here. And this is Horizon, who, as you can see here, the article actually mentions, which is probably why they included this picture. But yeah, so it really was difficult for me to get anything done. But last night I played with Karma and Pash, who I was playing a fair bit with last season, especially when we had the first split on Olympus. We basically went all through Plat into Diamond together, and then was trying to climb from Diamond to Plat Masters, but after a while we just got annoyed with it and gave up. But we changed up our comp because normally I would play Valk because I'm a Valk main, and obviously I got Crypto's heirloom, so I wanted to play Crypto. And so Pash actually switched off of Octane. Bear in mind, the guy has a shit ton of time on Octane. Like, he's basically played no one else except for, like, for challengers to get his battle pass done. Okay. Same with Karma on Bloodhound. Except Karma did play Watson a bunch when he got her heirloom, and Revenant when he got his heirloom. So he's a bit more diverse. But that was basically our comp. Me on Crypto, Karma on Bloodhound, Pash on Valkyrie. And you might think, wow, 3 Recon Legends, that's not going to go well, especially on a map like Storm Point, where it's pretty open, and people are most likely to use snipers and stuff like that. Like, but we won 2 games back to back to end the night off. One game where Pash had 1700 damage, I had 1500, and then I think Karma had just below 1000, or just above 1000. And then the second game that we won, Karma had like 1500 damage, and me and Pash both had I had about 500, I think, and Pash had about 1200 or something like that. I can't remember for certain. That is on Karma's stream if you want to go and check that out. I'll give him a quick shout out in my chat. That's Karma comes around. I'm fairly certain he has his VODs turned on, so if you want to go and check that out, like I said, it's right towards the end of his stream. He was playing some pubs right at the end of his stream, but probably about, what, half an hour before the end, you'll probably see the last 2 games that we played ranked. But anyway, so with the competitive changes, it's, long story short, it's harder. And Plat now is basically the new Diamond, and Diamond is the new Masters, because you need to get 10k, and now to get Masters you need 15k. And just to put it into perspective, me as a Diamond 4 player would normally go down to Gold 2, but they decided for some reason, probably because of this new system, to make sure people weren't, you know, stuck in Gold because they were Diamond and they're not actually a Diamond level player. I decided to do another rank back, so I went to Silver 2 instead. Pasha and Karma didn't play King's Canyon really after getting to Plat last split, so they got put down into Bronze, but they've now made it to Silver after us playing last night and I think the night before. So we I'm in Silver 1, they're in Silver 4, so we're going to be playing some later today probably to see if we can't climb a bit more. And yeah, so much harder, long and short of it. And then to lead us on to something that I imagine is probably going to be a whole lot harder is Apex Legends Mobile. I have seen a bunch of the Apex Legends creators that I watch mention this and mention like they're playing it. The gaming merchant that I watch on a regular basis, he actually made a separate YouTube channel purely for Apex Legends Mobile content. Got, you know, access to the beta and stuff that they did. This trailer that is showing after this ad, a lot of people said this is better than some of the Apex Legends trailers that they bring out for the actual main game. So
interesting.
For anybody who's wondering, this is not actually made, as it says here, developed by a dedicated team at Respawn. It's made by Tencent, Lightspeed and Quantum. Respawn obviously just advised them with regards to how to best use their IP, because Respawn owns Apex and Titanfall, and then obviously EA owns Respawn. So
yeah, I was just going to say that makes sense, because Tencent do a lot of mobile.
Yeah, and then it says PUBG
games,
Mobile.
But the entire ecosystem for mobile gaming.
Yeah,
like all of the different infrastructure that it sort of sits on top of is separated by Tencent a lot. So it makes sense that they'd have a hand.
yeah, so I personally kind of want to try it, but I've never found myself like. I think I tried PUBG Mobile when it first came out, and I like didn't like it.
Yeah.
Didn't even bother. Bear in mind, I was more into Call of Duty and never even bothered Call of Duty Mobile because I was like,
I did try Call of Duty Mobile. I got a couple of wins on it, and then never played it again. It really wasn't for me. I don't really like the general sort of on-screen controls.
Some of the things as well, like being able to do certain things with Pathfinder, the one who you saw fire like a zip line out of his wrist just here in this trailer. Where was it? Here, this guy. This is Pathfinder. A lot of the things in the main game with regards to Octane's perfect. He'll fly like that, like he would in the main game. But Pathfinder doing this in the main game, you wouldn't just go straight to the building and turn around and shoot the guy. That was probably done for cinematic effect anyway, because you can't shoot when you're on your same like you tactical, because that's what that ability is called. However, well, actually, no, I can't remember. Can you? I barely play fucking Pathfinder, so I might be wrong there. But you would normally, like, sort of swing out, so you'd go up on this roof. You know what I mean? And the movement required for that wouldn't be possible on mobile. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what people do with, like, if there's a different type of meta in this game compared to the actual main, like, game. But other than that,
there would be, given the control limitations.
Yeah, other than that, I am not potentially interested in playing it at all.
Okay.
Maybe if I was to go on holiday where there's somewhere with particularly decent internet connection where I could stream off of my phone, I might do it. Just because
that would be an interesting
just because like
change.
Just because of the simple fact, like I'm like my family plans to go to. Originally it was going to be Portugal later this year, but I think they've changed. I can't remember where it is now, but if we went there and I'm like, oh well, I'm like 3 hours off of my stream hours for the month to get the adjustment on, you know, subs and stuff. Oh, let me just stream from my phone for 3 hours playing Apex Mobile. Then, you know, maybe. But at the same time, I'm more than likely going to be like, nah, I'll just leave it this month and go for next month. Because I've done that the past couple months, you know? I've looked at that stat, seen I'm like 20 hours off. I'm like, well, I'm not going to kill myself over it. Like, you know, trying to do as many hours as possible. Just going to do what I'm comfortable with and move on with my life.
I don't know which one of these next I was going to go to then. Well, I suppose we'll just move on to whatever the next tab is.
The next tab is your tweet, quote tweeting somebody about emotes.
Oh right, he put that in there, in between there. Yes.
This is to lead us onto the Twitch section, like essentially off of Apex, because obviously Apex is on Twitch. Like a bunch of the streamers who stream Apex are like the pro players, and then there's obviously content creators for like PSM, 100 Thieves, and a bunch of other organizations that all stream on Twitch. Not all of them are there, but obviously it's so. I figured this actually like is a perfect segue in from like the gaming news that we were talking about, essentially those two content things there with regards to Apex onto the Twitch like news and stuff, which is I personally 100% agree with what you said here, and that is, you know, as you said, There's only one reason to ban or block over an emote, and that is if it's some sort of penis, emote that you look at and you're like, how the fuck did Twitch even approve that? And
and then that was the point of the approval process. I mean, obviously, it's a process. It's never going to be perfect. Some things might slip on through or whatever, but
I would never, ideal example, right? We started the podcast, I did the introduction. When I said Dune's in the chat, he used Civix's wavy emote. Am I going to turn around and go, no, Dune, you don't use Civix's emote, you use mine? No. Why? Because I'm not a fucking dickhead. If you feel like you want to wave to me and that's the emote you have access to that is a wave emote, use it. Who gives a fuck?
Like, some of the approaches to this are like, oh, it could be like you use your own wave emote, which I do sometimes. I do quite often. I don't do it in streams that I'm not regularly there. I will do it in yours or in CJ's or.
Yeah, I will use my love emote more regularly than I'll use any others. Not because it's my emote, but because the whole if I put it into the chat right quick, I'll use both in my chat, right? And I'm gonna hide this real quick and I'm open so that people on YouTube can see it. Boom. So, with those, my channel, can it go? Does it go back? No. Yeah, it does. There we go. Right. So, I've muted the tab, so you won't hear it. You won't hear me. But as you can see down here, right, my animated emote. Oh, that's a kind of Inception. Pop out chat. Here we go. That's the way to do that. Alright. So, as you can see, my animated one, my non-animated one, right? The animated one is literally just an animation that Twitch gives us, so I can upload this emote and tell it to give me the shake animation, and it shakes. Yeah? That's it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? So basically this is the same emote as this. My whole point is that whilst anybody else's, let me have a look. I've got Coty's emotes, right? So let's go to Coty. There. Whilst that right there, and I'll put that in chat as well, that gets the point across that I am showing the person I'm watching love or whatever. For me, the reason I like my emote as it is I am fucking firing the love at them. And most of my friends that I would use this against, I've played Destiny and know that that's Chaos Reach, and that if I'm firing the love at them, it means it's a laser beam. You know what I mean? Because that's what Chaos Reach does. So, in my friendship group, this is going to have more effect than this. Doesn't mean that Coty's emote is bad. By no means at all. Coty is a fucking awesome dude, and I've mentioned him a bunch of times on the podcast. He's the main person I watch for Apex. So if you get a chance, go and fucking watch him. But this is also goes along with raiding. If I'm gonna raid a channel, I'm going to spam the fuck out of my emotes, not a random raid emote that I've got from God knows who. I don't know.
And that's the other thing that I was going to bring up as well, is that when you launch a raid, you usually launch it with your emotes, and then anyone who's coming with you will also use your emotes. You're not all going to be using whoever you're raiding it.
Yeah.
Let's say you raid me, you're not all going to be using my emotes to say you're coming for a raid.
Exactly. And here's the other thing. A lot of the time, because I don't have an emote that actually says raid, and most of the time my emote for a raid is actually my charge emote, because, you know, it's essentially we're charging and taking over your chat. And I'll put that in chat right now for anybody that doesn't know. But for YouTube viewers, I'm not going to bring my chat back up just to show you, but it's basically a Warlock Dawnblade from Destiny that's got blue fire on the sword, and it's like the age-old animation from like any fucking action film ever, where they like with the sword up in the above their head, and they're like charge forward sort of thing. But obviously it's not a dude screaming because it's a warlock. He's got a helmet on, and you know, that is my raid emote, but it doesn't say raid on it. So 9 times out of 10 I'll just get everybody to spam all 3 of my emotes. And if they don't have my emotes, I say use the Twitch Global ones or any emote that you've got that is a raid emote. So if you've got an emote from, I don't know, No Cocoa Puffs, and it says raid on it, fucking spam it. Just make sure in between the spamming of it, you put trep before the emote. Because then they know that they're getting raided by me, and you're using that emote, rather than, oh shit, I've just been raided by Noco, and it's actually just you using the one emote. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And I've used raids before to find people. Like, someone comes in, their emotes look cool, and then whoever I was like originally watching, like anyone, like, decides to give them a shout out. They're like, oh, I like the game they were playing. Their emotes look cool. Let's see what they're about. I just don't get why some people would go overboard with.
Yeah, So to go back to this though, what Kit retweeted was, if you get butthurt over using someone using a Twitch emote that isn't your own in your channel, you're entitled as fuck. And I said what I fucking said. Oh, I fucking said what I said. Alright? I 100% agree with that as well. I will never, ever get pissed off with somebody using an emote in my chat, regardless of who it's from. It might annoy me to see an emote that, let's for argument's sake say somebody that I've had a disagreement with, or I used to like watch them, or whatever the case may be, and I found something out I didn't like, and therefore I, you know, took myself out of their community. It might annoy me to see that you're somebody who, you know, uses their emote and therefore in some way, shape or form supports them, but I won't ever say to you, fuck that guy, like, fuck their emote, don't use their emote, blah blah. Do you know what I mean? You're well within your right to use your emote, whether you got gifted that sub or you bought it yourself. Who cares? If the emotes are just, you know, just that, they are emotions, you know, they are supposed to be a reflection of the emotion that you are trying to show. So as I said in the example given with my love emote and Coty's love emote, neither in any capacity are wrong or shouldn't be used. You are trying to show somebody that, you know, you love them, their content, whatever the case may be. You love what just happened on stream, whatever it may be. Spam the fuck out of those emotes. I don't give a fuck personally, and I don't. And as you and this, well, I'm gonna fucking butcher that, Azezra say.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
As you both said on this like tweet, fucking express yourself however you fucking see fit. Nobody should ever cuss you down or make you feel less welcome in their Twitch channel because you used a Twitch emote that isn't theirs. The whole thing with regards to you subbing to them should be that you want to support them. You either that, or you enjoy watching their content and don't want it broken up by, you know, adverts when they have auto ads running, or, you know, if you like their emotes, you sub to them to get the emote. Whatever your decision to get a sub from them, to get a sub from Twitch to their channel, that's your you know, prerogative, whatever you decide. The point I'm trying to say is nobody in another channel should ever make you feel like whatever you felt in that person's channel to allow you to think, oh, I'm going to sub to this person, is invalid. Right? You should support who you want to support, and honestly, as Ezra said here, you're entitled as fuck. The person who says to you, oh, don't use that person's emote in my chat, I don't want passive promotion from their channel for their channel in my chat, yeah, they are, one, as Ezra said, entitled as fuck, and therefore will probably be the type of person to turn around and go, oh, my viewers have all disappeared, oh, it's the booby streamers. Do you know what I mean? And when in actuality it's because their content sucks, and so does their fucking attitude. And two, you shouldn't feel like you need to be in that chat to support them if they're gonna treat you like shit. This whole, like, thing about you're the viewers, we put out the content, like, you should support us because we're putting out free content. No, the content is free, and anybody who is getting into streaming or any type of content creation should want to do it for the fun of it, because they want to eventually potentially make a career out of it, and, you know, be able to put out more content. Because let's face it, if you are aspiring content creators like we are, I am I making a living off of this? No. Am I still doing it? Yes. Why? Because I have the passion to do it. I want to entertain people. Same with you, right, Kip?
Yeah.
Same with most people that we are friends with. Kit, Fiend, Dune, Civic, Lee, Otis. Like, I'm just gonna name those few, because if I keep going, we're gonna be here for hours.
Yeah, we will be here for hours if you keep going.
We are all in it just because we enjoy doing this and we want to entertain people. The money helps, of course. We can upgrade setups, we can buy things to do for stream, play a game, whatever. I bought New World from my Twitch paycheck. Like, I bought my desk that I am sat at from my Twitch paycheck. Yeah, so this is my point. All my stuff goes back, and for most people, it goes back into the stream, so they don't actually make anything from it. It goes back into the stream to make it a better quality, or give them increased comfort to where they can then have more energy on stream and make the content better. So, again, last point on this, if somebody is making you feel like shit because you chose to support somebody else and then use their emote in that person's chat, fuck them. They will be the type of person, like I said, to blame other people for their viewership dropping, when in actuality it's because their attitude stinks and their content sucks. And if they lose all the people and then they go to, let's say for argument's sake it happened to me, I'd go to Kit and be like, yo, everybody who used to watch me's gone, like, what's going on? I would think that Kit is close enough friend to me that where he'd turn around and went, well, maybe if you know, had a better attitude and didn't talk to people like shit in your chat, you know, make a bit of a better impression, and therefore more people would stay and more people would come in, and you'd slowly climb.
If it ever came to that, then yeah. But as it is, you're not really like that. So.
But that's my point. You know, hopefully, if let's say I go into somebody else's chat and that happens, I'm gonna remove myself. If more people remove themselves, and then that person doesn't go anywhere, then they go to a friend and they're like, or somebody they see as a friend and go, oh, I used to have 10 viewers watching me all the time. Now I've got 0. And that friend, I would think, would turn around and go, well, this is your mistake, and then they would learn from it, and then maybe it makes them a better content creator in the long run. And because a lot of people who have that kind of attitude and are, as Zaza said, entitled as fuck, are the ones that are purely in it for the money and not the entertainment and making friends and etc. etc. Because everyone that has come in my chat on a semi-regular basis, I would consider a friend. Have I ever met Kit face to face? No. Have I known him for like 2 years? Yes. Are we pretty close friends? Yes.
I mean, it took, what was it, a full year? I think it was a year and a half to a year and 7 months before I met Fiend face to face. I met him once.
There you go.
Outside work, and we live in the same city, for God's sake.
There you go. Right. With that being said, let's move on to Twitch streamers making fuck ups.
I was going to try and make some kind of segue as to like sort of learning from mistakes, or like when you said feeling comfortable, is like I feel comfortable when I'm safe. But sometimes things happen, and you just have to sort of get on with the show and sort of deal with it. And once you've then dealt with it, how do you then, proceed and carry on as you were? And this one, probably unintentionally and kind of fortunately that it didn't escalate, ends up accidentally exaggerating the fire that is in her pan by trying to put it out. So she's in the kitchen. The pan sort of lights up. The food's on fire, and it's a frying pan. So obviously there's fats, there's oils.
Yeah.
And she tries to put water on it to kind of douse it, and obviously that doesn't put out. That doesn't put out an oil or fat fire. What happens is the water gets underneath the oils, the fats that are on fire, gets heated up, boils, and then tries to sort of, expand and burst out, and then you end up with this big puff of flame, which looks very good on camera if it's what you're trying to do, but very scary on camera if it's not what you're trying to do. Fortunately, she wasn't particularly harmed. She had some light burns, and her house is still intact and everything.
Luckily.
But hopefully, one of those things that you learn is sort of like, okay, yes, you can be distracted while you're looking at chat or whatever, not realise something's going on in the background, and then try and resolve it the wrong way. But then, in doing so, hopefully, out of this, you would then understand how to properly resolve it should it happen again, and be better prepared for other similar scenarios, so that next time you do the same kind of content again, you can do it with more confidence, because you know if something goes wrong, you know exactly how to deal with it, and you don't have to worry about that.
I just personally think, overall, at least in a solo thing like this, cooking streams are a bad idea. Like, if you've got somebody else here that's like keeping an eye on the fire, like obviously not the fire, but keeping an eye on the food, whilst you're reading chat, or they're reading chat whilst you're cooking, whatever it may be. It doesn't even have to be somebody else who streams. It could just be literally like your little brother. You know what I mean? Like somebody who's
else
just
in the room, sort of like,
just to tell you, look, that's gonna fucking go, or hey, look, fucking Dylan1234 said, what are you making? And then you can answer the fucking question. But yeah, hopefully she learned something from this. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that name because I will butcher it. And we're going to move on to Overwatch 2. Because from a fire in somebody's kitchen to a fire of a game that, is trying to be a phoenix.
Going from a kitchen fire to what some people would consider a dumpster fire.
Yeah. And the game's trying to be a phoenix from Overwatch 1 into Overwatch 2, and is just not rising from the ashes.
No, it's sort of just settling in with them. And I've seen quite a few different takes on this same graph, basically. This one has a little more context, sort of either side of it, to say, you know, because I'd seen other articles for the same thing saying that like Overwatch 2 is view time is tanking, and there's no one watching it, it's dead in the water, because the viewership, the concurrent viewership, fell by about 99% in like a day or two. And what had happened is they had access codes for the Overwatch 2 beta as Twitch drops. And you know what happens with Twitch drops? While the drops are active, you get increases in the number of people who are watching while they're trying to claim the code, and then once it's over, it goes back down sort of to about where it was. This has sort of rocketed up while the Twitch drops were active. Then has come back down and has settled, I think it's settled slightly below where it originally was. And you'd think with more people sort of streaming and playing the game, that you would have, it would settle slightly higher. And it's not done that because people aren't really being impressed by it. Some of them were saying like it's Overwatch 1.5, that it may as well just be a free update. Someone even said that the 1.5 is generous and it's 1.1.
Yeah. So this is the thing as well. I recently found out was how they marketed Overwatch 2 when they first announced it. Back when Jeff, I forget his name, Kaplan. Jeff Kaplan was like the studio lead for the Blizzard team that was running Overwatch. How they marketed it was a free update to Overwatch 1. So if you owned Overwatch 1, you just get Overwatch 2 basically for free. What's come out since they've done this, like beta and the Twitch drops and stuff, is that in actuality, the multiplayer aspect of it, which is what Overwatch 1 was in its entirety, except, you know, the yearly anniversary event and the Halloween event where there was PvE for the event, and that's it, like 2 or 3 weeks around that time of year. The PvP will be updated to Overwatch 2, but the PvE you have to pay for Overwatch 2, like story campaign or whatever, which makes sense, I get. But if you turn around to Overwatch 1 owners and say, look, you own this game and you're going to own the second one. That's why when I went to go and play Overwatch with Karma, with Anne, with Cody, last Christmas, like just as Cody was getting into ALGS, I bought Overwatch 1 on PC. I wasn't planning to because I knew Overwatch 2 was coming. And then because they said, oh, you'll get Overwatch 2 if you've got Overwatch 1, I bought it again. So I've paid for the game twice, right? Already, and because obviously I had it on Xbox, and then obviously when I moved over to PC, I didn't have it. You can argue, oh well, that's your fault. You could argue, oh well, that's my fault. Like I shouldn't have bought the game again. But when they marketed it as Overwatch 2 was basically a free update for Overwatch 1, why would I not turn around and go, oh well, I don't know whether I'll be able to buy Overwatch 2. I can buy Overwatch 1 now. Let me buy it, and I'll get Overwatch 2 for free anyway. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, I get that.
And so I think a lot of that's put people off. And then, as you said, the people were going, oh, well, it's Overwatch 1, updated. Then the PvE aspect, so that's where the Overwatch 1.5 came from. Because it wasn't really a new game. It was just, oh, we've added PvE things and we've done an update to a whole bunch of things within the PvP side. Now, when you think about it, the fact that they're saying, oh no, you have to pay separately for the storage stuff, that Overwatch 1.1 seems a whole lot more fair. And then the story, you could argue, is 1.5 or 2, depending on how good it ends up being. But
we'll see. We'll hold out and see when it comes out what it's like then.
as it says here, look, go anywhere other than Overwatch orientated community on Reddit or Twitter, and you'll see nothing but hate or confusion about what Overwatch 2 really is. Nobody has a clue. So yeah, like.
So there aren't really clear segues between all of these topics today.
Nah, that's it. But this is dealing with numbers, and the next topic deals with numbers in a different way. So okay. There we go, segue. I don't fuck at this point. I want to just get on.
Yeah, next topic, please.
So, life on Twitch. Streamers are finding new ways to make money and avoid burnout. So obviously, when Ludwig was on Twitch, he was contracted to, as part of his partnership program, to stream a certain amount of hours per week. That potentially could lead to burnout and, you know, other things where they're like, I really can't be arsed with this. Fuck it. So obviously when the opportunity arose for him to go to YouTube, where they went, oh yeah, you can make basically the same amount of money, but not contracted to the same amount of hours. You're going to be contracted to less hours, or not even contracted to hours. You just like do content as long as you want, sort of thing. Just make sure it's this many days a month or whatever. Like, you know, whatever the agreement they've got, of course they're going to move on. But this article is sort of discussing the fact that they're trying to look for alternative ways outside of streaming and content creation to make money. So if they decided to go, do you know what, fuck it, I'm done, like I don't want to be on YouTube anymore, I don't want to be on Twitch anymore, I don't want to be on TikTok and blah blah, like I just want to sit back at home and chill. And a good example of this, I don't know whether it's mentioned in this article, but a good example of this is Amaranth has bought gas stations and 7-Elevens, and
it is mentioned,
like, so it is mentioned. Okay, right, so
yeah. It's like towards the bottom though.
Where is it? Let's find that.
The article itself was fairly lengthy, but it sort of covers some of the things that other people, some of the things that people who are like sort of towards the top, sort of K band of Twitch and YouTube as well.
So but here's the thing, as it says here,
are doing to prepare for their eventual, not disappearance, but when they stop producing new
like
content,
retirement essentially.
Yeah.
Alright, so you look at this. Last month on Twitter, she was launching an agency for female content creators on both platforms, meaning OnlyFans and Twitch. So she has also diversified outside of entertainment, buying gas stations, investing in 7-Eleven, and even sinking $7 million into an inflatable pool toy company. So, ideal example of this kind of investment is if Ludwig, for example, his whole thing regards to leaving Twitch and going to YouTube was, you know, he blew up a purple car and got in a red one. Alright? If he was somebody who was particularly into cars, and let's say he invested in Volkswagen, for argument's sake, then he's guaranteed money for the rest of his life. Why? Because he'll get a percentage back of what the company earns into his, you know, revenue stream. That money is always going to be there for as long as that company is open. And something like a pool toy company are likely to be around for a while. Especially if they've got
so long term.
Yeah, long term
things that aren't going anywhere anytime soon.
Even when gas, in the sense of what we call petrol and diesel here in the UK, even when they go away, the likelihood that these gas stations here will go away is about 75%. because that 75%, the 25% will just disappear. The 75% will evolve with the times and become, you know, electrical outlets for electric cars or natural gas production.
And you can see that already.
Like, yeah.
I don't know about particular brands in the US, but I know in the UK you've got like BP and Shell and possibly some others as well. But a lot of their forecourts, their petrol stations, their gas stations already have at least one electrical vehicle, EV charging point. So it wouldn't be particularly out there for them to gradually reduce the number of fuel or gas pumps they've got and instead migrate those to being EV charging points.
Yeah, exactly.
As the number of cars on the road that use those fuels decrease and the number of EVs go up and stuff. So they just kind of keep their forecourts there in balance with what is on the road and their customer base.
Exactly. So in this case, this basically just says to me, you know, these people who you would think, here's Pokemon right here. They aren't like, so she is now, no, not Pokemon, I was thinking of Valkyrie. Valkyrie now is a co-owner of 100 Thieves alongside Courage and Nadeshot, who is, you know, the one who founded it. So what they probably would have done, even though Valkyrie and Courage were basically with 100 Thieves from day one, and we're pretty close friends with Nadeshot anyway, they would have had to probably buy into 100 Thieves to be given the co-owner title. You know what I mean? So even when they decide to stop creating content of their own, any content that earns 100 Thieves money, whether it be from another content creator that they take a percentage of, or on the 100 Thieves own like channels and outlets and stuff, be that actual, you know, general content, streams, YouTube videos, whatever, or you know, clothing, branding, that kind of thing, they earn a percentage of because they're part of the company. This to me just says that you can't turn around and say that Twitch streamers are just like performers. They're just go out to play games on stream for other people to watch. Like, they're actually business orientated. If I had this kind of money to sink into a company, $7 million, do you think I would do that? Of course I fucking would. That kind of money, whilst is in of itself is life changing, it is also potentially gonna lead to a whole lot more down the line.
Yeah, and even if you say that you just you had that and you know you put, even if you say like you put 6 million of that into various companies or accounts or whatever,
yeah,
and you have 1 million, that would easily cover like rig upgrades, extra equipment, you know, sort of house. There's loads that you could do with that. I mean, a lot of the people who are like at the top of the game in terms of Twitch have already done all of that.
Exactly.
But kind of to borrow a saying from I can't remember who said it first, but you've repeated it a few times in that on Twitch we've got like sort of very clear sort of boundaries. You know, you've got like you start, and then you've got affiliate, and then you've got partner. Yeah. And the check mark is a checkpoint. There's always more after it.
That's from Amaze. Amaze is Amaze is a firm believer in the check mark is a checkpoint. So you only continue to go up from there. A lot of people look at the check mark being partner as the end goal. Never do that. Never. No. Because this kind of thing, where you're investing and buying businesses outside of content creation and then basically being set for life, even if you decided to quit content creation tomorrow, will never happen for you. Just to be blunt, it will never.
It also gives you sort of a better sense of security, because you know that you can then take more risks with the type of content that you do.
Exactly.
Like if you've got something that you really want to do, but then you sort of don't do it because you're like, oh, well, what if it doesn't get as many hits or as many views, or people don't really like it as much, so they'll stick around. If you've got other sources, you don't have to worry about it as much. You can just sort of put out the content that you want to create, that you would be proud of.
Yeah. Which everybody should be doing anyway. But, you know, when you're focused on numbers and trying to make a business out of it, it can be scary to do those kind of things. People think it was... Do people think it was easy for me to go from Destiny to Apex to New World back to Apex? No. Was it? Fuck. But I looked at it as, if I'm having more fun with Apex and than I am with Destiny, why should I make myself miserable, which will then eventually make the people in chat miserable, because they'll see my misery if I put my cam on, they'll hear my misery in my voice if I'm just not, if I don't have my cam on. And therefore the content won't be great, and therefore new people that come in who don't know me will be like, oh, this guy's shit, and just leave. I've lost that chance. First impressions are fucking everything. You've lost it. Whereas if I'm having fun with Apex, as much as I might get really annoyed when it comes to, like yesterday when I was streaming some Apex for those 2 hours, there was one time where we landed, a team landed with us, my two teammates died before like even doing any damage. I fucking had like 250 damage, or nearly killed two of them. And I went, fucking shitty teammate. Like, that's not because I'm annoyed with the game, myself, or my teammates, even though I call them shitty teammates. It's because I'm competitive and I'm passionate about being the best I can be. And then, so, in a way, I am annoyed at myself. Do you know what I mean? Because I should, in my own head and in my own assessment of my abilities, be able to play better than I did. So I should be able to pull up the slack. You know what I mean? If the game is giving me what I see as bad teammates, then it's like a lobby balancing thing, in a sense of, if they're a 1.0 and a 1.0 and I'm a 2.0, I'm not, but I'm just using that as an example. Altogether, we're a 4.0 squad. Then the other teams are going to be like that same level, and I should, because they're overall going to be individually going to be lower than me, I should be beating them. You know what I mean? And that's the way I look at it, and so I get annoyed. But I'm expressing that not because I want people to go, oh yeah, this game's fucking bullshit. It's like, but like, I'm just annoyed with myself and how I played a certain situation, or you know, I should have done better. And sometimes it's funny anyway to hear somebody go, ah, fuck this game, like, because you know that in their head they're already, like, if they're a good and competitive player, they're already thinking about what they should have done differently, which is what I'm always doing. Yeah. And then they're also, as they queue into the next game, they also should be like, okay, that game didn't happen, let's go, new game, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Which is why, after I had a fairly decent game, the second to last game yesterday, and then a dog shit game in the last game, I just turned around and went, okay, like, fuck this, I'm getting off. And I only streamed for 2 hours. But it was because I was like, I've hit, only time I'll ever like do a shorter than 4 hour stream is if I haven't got the time. So like, I need to pick my kids up from school or whatever. Or if I am getting that frustrated with myself, my gameplay, the team, or whatever, to where I know it's not going to be entertaining for people to watch, and therefore I'll just go, right, fuck it, I'm just gonna take myself out of the situation. And I can't just sit there and leave the game running and have you lot in chat and me just talking for the most part, because it's, you know, it's not what I'm trying to do with my channel. And if I'm there going, okay, I'm going to take myself away from the situation, 9 times out of 10, I'm like, okay, I'm going to take myself away from my PC. So what does that mean? Chat, if anybody is in chat talking, I'm going to go by. Not going to get a response. And therefore, boring, no content, blah, blah, blah. Do you know what I mean? So there's no point in me being live still. So I'll end stream, I'll raid somebody who you could go and watch. Yesterday I raided Adam, or the only AJD, who is somebody I met through Civic. But to go back to this, if I had this fucking kind of like extra cash after, you know, doing all the things that Kit said, buying a house, buying, like, having upgraded setup and all that, to where I could invest in companies, of course I would. It's a social security like network essentially. You know what I mean? You are guaranteed to have a certain excess amount of money on top of what you are earning. Any time you have the opportunity to sink some kind of money into a company that is guaranteed to make you more money, you should be doing it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
If you're
doing that,
let's say if you're, so for argument's sake, right? If you are an Xbox streamer, you stream directly from your Xbox, or you have a PC that you stream to and from your Xbox and all that. Let's say you have you have no intention of buying a gaming available, you know, ability PC, right? So you're happy just gaming on your Xbox or your PlayStation 5, right? If you have a Series X or a PS5 and you have no what's the word I'm looking for? Intention on buying a gaming PC, that's completely up to you. But the money you probably would have spent on, you know, the new console that you've already got, or the gaming PC, put it to something else, you know, fucking graphics for your stream, anything to upgrade your stream. If it's, you know, something that costs £100 and you've got 400, invest the other 300. Don't just like go and splash out on a bunch of things that in a month's time you'll be like, I don't need that, and I regret it. And it's funny because I know Kit was trying to segue as I went into this little bit of a rant, and I'm going to use this as a segue because that piece of advice right there is something that a money analyst, or, you know, a what they called accountant would tell you if you have that kind of money to save, to put to one side, to invest in things. And where do you normally find those kind of people? Is in a bank.
So this one is interesting. The first line of this article is rather amusing. I never thought I'd write this, but BMO, or the Bank of Montreal, now has a Twitch channel. And this article was written partway through last week, but their first stream was yesterday.
Okay. Oh yeah, 13th.
Yeah, 13th. And they claim it's set up to stream things like financial advice and stuff. But they have, they sort of had a quote here, that they welcomed someone into the new role as a gaming relations specialist.
Yeah.
You just imagine just like a list of people working at a bank and you just see like gaming relations specialist.
This is fucking brilliant. I do find it funny how it says former TSM pro Matthew Wardle U, right? Which is, you know, the upcoming stream banner is titled Going Pro with Wardle, right? But it doesn't say what like he went pro in here, it would say like former team TSM, like I don't know, Apex Pro. Like that's what it should say. So it's funny how the person who's writing the article doesn't necessarily know how to actually get people's sort of what's the word? Fucking attention, essentially. Because I don't know who Wardle is. I've heard the name. I feel like I've heard the name before. But TSM is a team that's not only in Counter-Strike or not. I don't know whether they're in Valorant. I think they're in Valorant. Pretty sure they're in Valorant. But they're in Apex. They used to be in Call of Duty years ago. They used to be in like StarCraft thing. I can't remember. Like this is the thing that goes to show me, at least for this article, is the person who wrote it has no knowledge themselves of esports, right? Because TSM Pro could literally be in any fucking game.
Yeah. And it makes sense because this publication isn't exactly gaming oriented. It's just sort of more.
It's also constantly kind of fucking loading for fucking God knows what reason. So let me just.
Oh really?
Yeah, it was. So I just pressed the little X at the top. Fuck it.
Oh yeah, that's just the app banner at the top.
But yeah, so this goes back to something I've been saying for fucking since the day we started the podcast, was like eventually outside sources such as regular sport, bank, businesses, like any kind of business that wants to get a hold of customers' attention will see that content creation in some regard can help them. Whether it's using a content creator to promote their product or creating their own YouTube, Twitch channel, or any kind of like social media, in a sense of it says, look, like TikTok and Twitch are down here. Like, to talk to those, like, so in this lot, a bank is basically, look, it's monetizing gaming, investing, and home ownership, while and will feature social media contests and game playing across Twitter, TikTok, and Twitch. Like, bruh, like
it's reaching out to people who probably wouldn't be particularly interested in receiving that kind of useful advice,
but on a platform that they will be on anyway.
Content, but on the platform that they would be on, and sort of in amongst content that they would be looking for.
Exactly. So. And
that's pretty.
Self-explanatory. Yeah. So we'll skip over that. Going into a last few things, I literally, as you can see, Kit provided links for these. I just didn't think they warranted their own tabs, so I figured we just like skip over a couple of things.
Just skip over most of the tab. Unfortunately, we just don't have.
Yeah.
We're not reading through it all.
There's a bunch of the key points are on the document in front of us, right? The new season information is in the TWAB. If you want to go and read it, you can find it on the Bungie website, where everybody who wants to know the TWAB information knows where to find the TWAB. Let's face it. The key things here with regards to Iron Banner is the power level is now disabled. Rift instead of Control in Season 17, which in the intent to switch the mode each season. Rep revamp is that boosts armor ornaments give boost 200% boost, 40 per. Emblem is an extra 10%. Daily challenges for up to 400%. Max 7. 1 times.
So
Iron Banner rep.
1 times your Iron Banner rep
there you go.
Is the maximum boost in a week. Because you get 200% from your armor, 10% from your emblem, 400% from your challenges.
These boosts will be visible on a modifier node.
Yeah, so
there is a Iron Lord seal.
It'll tell you break down.
Yeah, there is an Iron Banner seal now called Iron Lord that you'll be able to guild when it comes to season 18, which is the season after the next one. What is it? 15 to 20 hours anticipated time to earn. Average is 3 hours. Monday to Friday is 15 hours plus the weekend playtime. There are going to be fewer Iron Banner weeks, so rather than the 3 times the season we have it now, it's going to be 2. Rituals, streaks, changing how the system works.
So I want to talk through this one because it's quick, but it kind of requires a little bit of an example. So as it says there, the way the ritual streak system is working now is going to change. So what it'll look at the last 5 ritual activities you played. So that's your Gambit, your Playlist Strikes, your Crucible. And instead of saying like, you know, how many of these have you run in a row, it will look at how many of these have you done in your last 5 activities. So if you've got a full streak of 5, it just means the last 5 things you played were all Crucible, for example. If you kind of go between them and you do some strikes and some Crucible, let's say you do 2 strikes and then 3 Crucible, and you go and do another strike. Your last 5 activities would be 3 Crucible and 2 strikes, so you would have 2 on your streak for strikes. After you've done a strike, you would still have 2 because you'd have 1 at the beginning and 1 at the end and 3 Crucible in between.
Yeah.
If you then do another one, you have a streak of 3 for strikes, even though your last 2 were only the ones that were in a row. Because of your last 5 activities that were ritual activities, 3 of them were strikes.
That makes sense.
So that's how they're changing that system, which is why I kind of needed a little bit of an explanation. I think that's probably going to be pretty big for if you just sort of go on, if you main one activity but then go and do your 3 of them for your weekly pinnacle.
Yeah, 100%.
Then you know your streak only goes down to 2 instead of just sort of reset.
Yeah. Alright, moving on to the latter paragraph, essentially, of this.
Yes,
which is
the last notes.
E3 is cancelled this year, but there are some events that are still on, and when are they? So, Kit, is what
there are others in some of the links, but the main takeaways here is the ones that we definitely know about at the moment is that the Summer Games Fest, so that's the Amazon Prime one, is on June 9th. Which is why I've put these in this week, because that's before our next episode. And the Xbox
our next episode is 28th of May. Yeah.
Have I skipped an episode? I have, yeah. I've skipped to the next episode and gone to the episode after. Oh well. Anyway, we know when these are. We can say when these are. Who's to say that they're not listening to this episode the day before the event?
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, carry on.
the Xbox and Bethesda showcase is on June 12th. And so is the Future Games show and the PC Gaming show. They're just run by. Then
they are normally ones that are like in and around the E3 shows anyway.
In and around E3, they're kind of like covering what's on when things are on, and then they'll have like they'll say like, oh, this company is on at such and such a stage, and then they'll show that, and then they'll come back to them. They'll have like the little hub. So those they're still on, but obviously there won't be a lot of buzz around, unfortunately.
Yeah, and then one other one that I wanted to add on to there, and we'll mention on episodes going forward until until it actually happens, or I can confirm something. Is Insomnia or I-69, which if I quickly pull up a thingy for, I should have brought this up beforehand. As you can see here is August bank holiday weekend 26th to the 29th. I am planning on, if I get my next Twitch payout before August, which I should, in theory, going to this one, the 27th. So if anybody is, UK,
the Saturday,
and wants to go,
that week, I've just sort of like counted through on the calendar. That week is a week in between episodes.
There you go. Here's the thing: we may have to. Me and you can talk about this off podcast at some point. Yeah. We may have to maybe even skip one of our regular weeks, and we can do one like that week. If that makes sense.
That week, yeah.
Depending on what we decide, but
yeah, we'll figure that out. But at the moment, as it stands, until we decide to change it, we'll probably have an episode the week before, and an episode the week after.
Yeah. So don't be surprised if the week before is, oh, this is what we're doing next week, Insomnia, and then the week after is, this is how much fun we had. But again, at the moment, without knowing when I'm going to get my Twitch payout, I don't know whether I'm going to be able to go. So as it stands right now, I am planning on going. If anybody is going to want to go to Insomnia 69 and wants to catch up for a drink or whatever, there you go, 27th. If I do end up going, I'll be tweeting where I'm at anyway in the venue. So there you go. And I know there's a couple people that are going from other friendship groups that I'm going to be meeting for the first time. So Mac Haro or Nick, who I mod for, I met through CK, plays a lot of Apex, has recently actually switched over to PC for Apex. He's going to be planning on going. Zoe Nova, who is the owner of the team that Mac is part of, Team Nova, she went to I-68 and is planning on going to I-69, so I'll probably be meeting up with her as well. And then there's a couple other people that she met at I-68 that obviously she's known of from beforehand, that will probably be hanging out with as well. So if a couple of them end up going, there might be a couple of people that I end up meeting as well. Somebody that she met at I-68 was Stallion, who used to be part of Carnage. He, not long after I-68 left Carnage. Mad Viper is also part of Carnage. He was top 100 in phase 1. He went to I-68 and then has said that he's going to I-69 and says, I'm trying to go on the Saturday. He says, yo, I'm going to be there. Make sure you come and say hi. So there you go. There'll be a bunch of people that I'm going to end up meeting. The way I'm looking at it is I'm going to experience the only real, huge gaming event in the UK. But then also it's kind of the reason I'm using my Twitch payout and not just saving a little bit here and there is, for me, I see this as a business meeting, business expense. So it comes from what I'm making the money from Twitch. So that's where my thoughts on that are. Before we end up
with you reeling off more names of people who you're planning to meet at Insomnia, I think we should start wrapping up.
Yep, we are going to wrap up there, right there. So, with that out of the way, that is episode 33, or as we should be calling it, season 2, episode 2. I don't know when I'll drop the episode 30 or whatever.
I don't know if you ever will.
I don't know either. I'm quite OCD when it comes to shit like that.
Hopefully before we end up with a 3rd season.
Yeah, hopefully
before then.
And even then, I'll probably count how many there is in total, and then the first couple of episodes of season 3, I'll put, oh, this is episode 65 or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
All right.
And people will just be like, wait, you didn't have 64 on the last one? What?
Yeah. Right. Who can we
well,
go
firstly, what I want to say
go on.
is obviously thank you everybody who is listening on all the platforms and stuff. If you're listening on one of the Spotify, like Apple Music, whatever, you know, podcast platform you choose to listen on, we appreciate it. If there's any kind of rating system where you can, you know, help us boost the reach of the podcast so more people can listen to it, we'd appreciate it. If you are watching,
think many of them have ratings, but
there
if
you
you
go.
Follow it so you're up to date with when a new episode comes out, that would be great.
Yeah, and if you're listening / watching, because you know, depending on what you're doing with yourself, on YouTube, again, we appreciate that too. Give it a like, favorite, subscribe, comment, all the good stuff that basically helps it reach more people. And I would very much appreciate that, because I do at the moment put these on my YouTube channel. At some point though, I do plan on making a Rising Lights podcast channel, and then downloading them all from my YouTube channel and putting them all on that one. So they'll be in both places at once, if that makes sense. But from that moment forward, I will just download the VOD
new ones on,
and put the new ones on the Rising Lights playlist. So eventually it will just disappear from my channel in general. But I'm seeing a couple people we could go to see in regards to raids. But we appreciate everybody for coming on out. If you're live in the chat as well, listening and watching. And if at any point you are listening and watching in the other platforms I mentioned, you know, the podcast platforms and YouTube, and you do want to come and watch live, it is held on my Twitch channel, Intrepidus1. I will put a link in the description on the YouTube channel, on the YouTube video. I know Kit has done it in the past for the podcast platforms. So if you want to come and watch one live, you know, all you have to do is kind of like, okay, well, they did this episode on the 14th of May. I know that the next one is the 28th. I'm going to follow Intrepidus, and I'll be in that stream on the 28th. And then if you're in the chat and you want to ask a question, you can go do so, and we will answer it. If you want our opinion on one of the topics that we aren't already given, you know, you can, like, any sort of questions or whatever in the chat, we'll do our best to answer and all that as well. One thing I will just forewarn is, if your Twitch account isn't verified through your email address, you will not be able to chat in my chat. So make sure that's done. And with that out of the way, that is episode 33, aka Season 2, Episode 2. Thank you very much for watching and listening. Bye-bye. Kit, say bye.